Hi, my name is Aaron, this is my show Reeducation, and today we're going to be continuing my How Anarcho-Communism Works series. And today we're specifically going to be talking about money. Why we need it, why we don't need it, how it functions, and how we could basically have a functioning society without money at all. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So you said in our last conversation that you would abolish money. So how would that ever work? If I wanted something as simple as a t-shirt, how would I even acquire it? And what would incentivize people to continue working? I'm definitely not going to work for free. Now that's interesting. Would you actually be working for free if you were given everything you ever wanted for free? And in this context, what do we even mean when we say the word free? Let me ask you this. When you were a child and you were helping your mother make dinner, was she making you work for free, or did you eventually get to eat that dinner? In a functioning society, there's a certain amount of work that needs to be done for it to function. Your society wouldn't function without doctors just as much as it wouldn't function without garbage collectors. The whole society falls apart if all the grocery store workers decide not to come into work that day. That's because a large number of jobs in a community are actually essential. We like to call them essential workers nowadays. They're essential because our collective survival as a community literally depends on them. So then this begs the question, why is it that CEOs and business owners are paid so much more to go globetrotting and yacht hopping than the actual people that do the actual work? Why is someone that turns a wrench or sweeps a floor in an oil company paid so much more than someone that does the exact same job at, say, a school or a non-profit organization? Why is a package of chicken or pork chops or pumpkin spice Twinkies so much less expensive at, say, Walmart than it would be at your local corner grocery store? You would probably say it has something to do with supply and demand, right? The oil company can pay the worker more than the school can. Walmart can buy the chicken or the steak or the Twinkies in bulk and get a reduced price where your local corner store just simply can't afford to. And the CEO hires you, not the other way around, so he can choose whatever amount of money he wants to take from your paycheck. But honestly, who does any of that help? Does any of it make any sense whatsoever? Why can a wealthy bachelor afford to buy as much food as they could ever want, while a poor struggling mother of four is unable to put food on the table and feed her family? Why are there millions of homeless people literally sitting outside of millions of empty houses? Well, in scientific terms, it's because there's no accurate way to measure labor input versus commodity output. In other words, money is a horrible way to determine how much someone's labor is actually worth, or even how much a commodity should actually cost. Trying to say that the labor it takes to create 5 shirts is equivalent to the labor it takes to pick 15 bunches of apples is honestly completely impossible. There are way too many factors involved. Like, what was the environment when the apples were being picked? How many people were working on those shirts? How fast was each laborer able to produce the same amount of work as the other? Even if you were to average it all out, it still doesn't accurately depict what somebody can or can't produce. And if somebody is disabled or, conversely, extremely fast at their job, then they're going to put out wildly differing amounts of labor in the same amount of time. Just the same, it's impossible to say that a doctor is more important than a garbage man in society, because without either, society would literally fall apart. Obviously, there are skill differences, and it takes a much higher education to become a doctor, but the argument still remains unchanged. Without either one, we don't have a functioning system. And not only is money a horrible way to measure labor or commodities, it can also be hoarded, inherited, or even stolen. Entire businesses are created around the manipulation of money to turn small amounts into large amounts. And 60% of the richest people in America got there because of inheritance, not because of their work ethic. Money creates a two-tier system where those who have it do not need to work, and those who don't are exploited and extorted into selling their labor. And if they don't sell their labor to some capitalist, they won't be able to afford food or shelter, and they'll die. Essentially, all it does is helps to maintain a worker class and an owner class. And though some of the worker class can eventually scrape out of that worker class and become an owner, it doesn't happen for the vast majority of people. And in fact, usually those class divides either stay the same or become bigger and vaster and wider every single year. This is why money has to be abolished and replaced with a system that actually functions in our modern day society. Yes, at one point money did have a use, but that was a long time ago, and we've evolved far, far beyond its necessities at this point. But I'm not only here to talk about the problems of money, I'm here to give you a solution as well. And the system that anarcho-communists have come up with is something known as a gift or a sharing economy. It's actually a really wonderful idea. Let's go through it. Essentially, a gift economy works like this. You provide the community with whatever labor or abilities you have that are useful to that community. In return, the community will provide to you everything that the community is able to produce. Essentially, it goes by the axiom, from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. So let's basically walk through an average day in the life of an anarcho-communist in an anarcho-communist structured society. In the morning, you would wake up and go to work at that shoe factory we were talking about earlier. That day, you would work and produce shoes for the community. At the end of the day, you get to go to the grocery store and pick up any of the food items or anything else that you might need. And then you go home and enjoy your life. Sounds pretty simple, right? At absolutely no point is money actually necessary. At the grocery store, you might swipe a card or scan a barcode to allow the grocery store to know that they need to order more goods, but currency never needs to exchange hands. Now, this might sound weird and confusing, but honestly, if you think about the situation we're in the modern day, you already don't really use physical currency at all. It's all abstracted and digital. Essentially, a number on a screen works as a barrier from you being able to obtain all of the goods and services you need to survive and thrive. So essentially, we're just eliminating one extra step. The part where you're extorted and exploited for your labor. Now, in answer to your question about working for free, I understand where you're coming from. A lot of people would never work for free. But as you can see, you're not really working for free, are you? You're providing the necessary labor for the community to continue functioning, and the community is providing to you whatever you might need. If you happen to be amazing and make a good or provide a service that is extraordinary or worthy of a special reward, then the community could work out some sort of deal with you. Perhaps you're some sort of famous, amazing doctor. You might get access to, I don't know, a larger house or even front row seats at a football game. There are a million different ways to incentivize people to do work that have nothing to do with remuneration or currency. If we remove the incentives away from just acquiring more money and put it towards something that is a lot more beneficial, like personal fulfillment and the betterment of society, then honestly, we'll be all better off. Think of all of the amazing doctors or scientists that may never have been able to cure cancer or coronavirus because they were never given the opportunity to actually go to school because they just couldn't afford it. What a tragedy for history if the next Mozart or Van Gogh was stuck behind a shovel or a desk, unable to ever reach their full potential. And never again would the world be facing extinction because a handful of billionaires wanted to make a few more dollars this quarter. A world without money would eliminate the majority of these problems. Obviously, it wouldn't solve everything. I mean, being an anarcho-communist might not get you laid, though it's possible it could. No economic solution is going to solve every single problem, but we can definitely change the incentives around so we can mitigate a lot of them and stop the majority. We have all of the abilities and resources and technology necessary to get rid of this cancer that has been infecting our society for hundreds of years right now. So I think it's time that we finally just take that extra step and abolish it entirely. Anyway, that's the end of the show. My name is Aaron. Thank you very much for watching. If you do get a chance, please check out all of the links in the description box below. Hit that little bell button because you know they are not going to tell you when I release a new video. And make sure you're subscribed because they're unsubscribing people every single day. And make sure as well that you subscribe to my Patreon. I produce exclusively anti-capitalist content, and no advertisers or capitalist businesses in general are ever going to touch my stuff. So make sure you're subscribed to my Patreon so we can continue to produce quality, consistent anti-capitalist content. And thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day.